With some of the changes taking place in the world today, small rural towns are making a huge comeback. So today, I'm going to walk you through the top 5 best small towns here in North Idaho. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about why a small town might not be the best idea for you. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Living Life in North Idaho, where on this channel we talk about what it's like living, eating, working, playing, and buying real estate here in Idaho. If that's of interest to you, go ahead and tap that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so every time I come out with a new video, you're getting notified. So let's dive into this video, guys. I'm walking you through the top 5 best small towns here in North Idaho, and at the end, gonna tell you why moving to a real small town here in Idaho might not be the best idea for you. So, the very first town we're looking at is Sagle, Idaho, up near Sandpoint. Now, Sagle is on my list for a couple of reasons. One, it's one of the more quieter towns that has a population above 5,000, and that's because most of the tourists are drawn to Sandpoint in Coeur d'Alene, which Sandpoint is about 10 minutes away and Coeur d'Alene is about 40 minutes away. A majority of the homes do sit on acreage. That's why you have a median home price of $885,000. You also have easy access to Lake Pend Oreille, which is the largest lake in Idaho, and some other really small lakes that are there in parks right in Sagle. You have several options for eating out right in town and being able to do a little bit of grocery shopping, or you just go into Sandpoint. You have a lot more options for eating out and a Walmart up there. So Sagle is not super cheap, but keep in mind to have a property on acreage near the water, having tons of forest and nature all around you, and not have a ton of tourists coming through your town every year, that does come with a price, and it's very worth it. And that's why it is number 5 on our list. Next on the list is Spirit Lake. With a population of just under 2,500 people, Spirit Lake makes the top 5 list because, well, just look at that downtown. I've been here since 1992, and that downtown has barely changed. It is absolutely what people think of when they think of old school Idaho. And even though you are out on your own, you're away from a lot of the bigger towns, you're only 17 miles from a Walmart, about 20 miles from Costco. So just like Sagle, you do have easy access to water. Of course, Spirit Lake is much smaller at 2.5 square miles, but you also have a very low crime rate because the mentality out in Spirit Lake is leave people alone, but also look out for your neighbor, try to take care of each other. So for those that are looking at getting to a small town, Spirit Lake is an awesome choice, and that's why it's number 4. Next on the list is Hayden Lake. Now, Hayden Lake is one of my absolute favorites because I grew up spending a lot of time out there. We would boat, we would fish. I had friends that owned houses that we would go and hang out. There's a lot of really, really good memories. It really is its own little corner of North Idaho, surrounded by mountains and beauty. And Hayden Lake is not very deep. I think it's about 170 feet deep, so it does warm up quite a bit faster than the other lakes we have around here. It's also next to 2 of the best golf courses we have in North Idaho, the Hayden Lake Country Club and Avondale Golf Course. The big downside of Hayden Lake is the cost to buy a home. At $1.33 million, obviously this is very inhibitive for a lot of people, but if you are someone of means, this is a really, really awesome place to live, and that's why it's number 3 on the list. Next, we have Wallace, Idaho. Wallace is a historic town known locally as the center of the universe and one of the most well-preserved historic towns in North Idaho. It was actually scheduled to be destroyed by the government to put in a freeway, and a local lobbied to save the town and got them to put the freeway on a bridge, which allowed everybody to stay there. Wallace is nestled deep in the mountains with some of the best dirt biking and snow biking trails in Idaho. It is only a few miles from Silver Mountain Ski Resort and Silver Rapids Water Park. Now, you're definitely going to get a lot of tourism during the summer and some in the winter. It's becoming a pretty well-known secret that Wallace is quite a party town. They have some really awesome old school bars. They even turned one of the old whorehouses into a hotel and preserved it with a lot of plaques that explain how the operation worked. Wallace is known as a mining town. The Bunker Hill Mine is over in Kellogg, which used to employ a lot of miners. And so that is how they had their entertainment. But with a religious movement that came through, they were able to get rid of the whorehouse and clean up the town a little bit. And a lesser known fact about Wallace, Idaho, that is where the movie Dante's Peak featuring Pierce Brosnan was filmed. I actually went down there when I was a kid and saw the whole scene when they had the ash in the town, and the ash was actually made up of the packaging material that they put in envelopes for the mail. I actually love this place so much that I recently made an offer on a small home out there. I really, really love this small town, and I really hope that it never grows past the 843 people that live out there. And the number one town on our list is Athl, Idaho. Now, the reason Athl is number one on the list is because it is absolutely the quintessential Idaho town with a very funny name. In most parts of Athl, you get your acreage property, you get your nice house, you have access to one of the biggest theme parks in Idaho, Silverwood, and some of the best hunting and hiking trails in North Idaho. Athl butts up to Chilko Mountain with logging roads that can take you right into Montana. Athl is smack dab in the middle of Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint, and it's mostly acreage property. To get all that and access to some of the best schools in North Idaho does not come cheap, and that's why the median home price is $710,000. So those are the top 5 small towns that we have here in North Idaho, but I'm not done yet. There's one more that I have to share with you, and this is honestly one of my favorites. So this is a bonus round, Bayview, Idaho. Bayview is a small town that looks like it's right out of a storybook. You're located at one of the most southern tips of Lake Pend Oreille and surrounded by beautiful scenery. And despite it being a tiny town that is tucked away and out of sight, this can be a very happening place during the summertime. There's a lot of events that are out there. A lot of people come out to rent a boat, to go sailboating, and it's just a really cool place to visit. It's a very unique area. It's also at the end of the road, so you aren't getting a ton of pass-through traffic when it's not tourist season. This is definitely a town for people that love a very small population. They love to fish and they love to boat, and that's why I could not keep it off the list. Now, I gotta say, each small town in this video is extremely different, and that's why I created one of the top relocation services here in North Idaho. So if you're serious about looking at moving to a small town or one of our bigger towns, make sure you reach out to us at the phone number or email address listed below. Day, nights, weekends, it does not matter. So let's dive in to why moving to a small town is not for everybody. All right, so living in a small town, it's definitely, oh, hang on. There we go. Living in a small town, it's not going to be for everybody. There's definitely some downsides, and there are some positives to it. I mean, obviously the positives are you're not going to have the same kind of crime. You're not going to be dealing with the homeless issue that is in a lot of these cities that's happening right now. And you're not going to have a ton of traffic, things like that. Those are all very, very good positives, but some of the negatives are that it's a small town. And so everybody knows who you are after a pretty short period of time. And we humans sometimes make mistakes, and sometimes they're public. In a big city, you can get away with that stuff. Nobody cares. People just go about their day. In a small town, that can become the news for a while. You can build a reputation just off of a few stupid decisions, and pretty soon that is what you are known for, and that is how you will be known moving forward. It takes a lot to change that reputation. Gossip is a thing in small towns. Rumors spread fast, and that's always fun, especially when you're a young kid growing up in a small town and you make stupid decisions when you're young and people remember them when you're older, it's not great. The other issue is that in a small town, there's just not a lot of stuff to do, right? You're not going to have comedy clubs. You're not going to have a mall. You're not going to have a lot of restaurants. You're not going to have bowling alleys and theaters. Now, these things are fairly close by. You're going to be driving to go to them, but they're not going to be right there. And sometimes you just don't feel like driving 20, 30 minutes to go do these things. And so boredom can set in, but luckily there's tons of stuff to do outdoors. Just know, as a child, not all of them like to do stuff outside. I didn't growing up, not really. I mean, with video games and computer games, I mean, that was emerging technology and they were getting better and better every year. And so I was that kid, and it wasn't until I was a little bit older that I enjoyed going outdoors. That is why typically in smaller towns, you have higher drug addiction problems, because there's just not a lot of stuff to do. So it's something that you do need to keep in mind. You can't just be thinking about, okay, I want to get away from all this stuff, so obviously we need to go to the opposite. Sometimes you just need to make a small course correction and move to a town, a mid-sized town like Coeur d'Alene or Post Falls or Hayden, where there's still stuff to do, but you still very much so have that small town feel. There's obviously not going to be a lot of jobs in a small town, so you are going to be driving to go to work, where the national average is about 10 to 12,000 miles a year. Up here, you can easily drive 15,000 miles a year. For me, I'm way over that because I'm driving all the time. But with how spread out things are, you are on the road quite a bit more often. The good news is you're not sitting behind a car in traffic most of the time. You are driving, and you do get to see beautiful scenery. In fact, on my drive back from Moscow that I was filming this video, I saw 3 different herds of elk. I saw a moose, I saw deer. I mean, it's gorgeous, but you do get a lot of windshield time when you live in a small town and you have to drive to the big town on a regular basis. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What did you think was the best town out of the 6 that I listed? Which one could you see yourself living in and why? Or are you done? Are you done looking at small towns? Is it time to start looking at a bigger town because you just don't think you can do a small town? I want to hear from you in the comments, and there should be a video there and there if you want to keep learning more about Idaho, or if you're ready to make living in Idaho a reality. Just reach out at the phone number or email address listed below. Day, nights, weekends, it does not matter. Until the next one, guys, I'll see you later.